Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of Transportation Tuesday. And it is Tuesday, September 30th, last day of September. And that means it is fall all around the U.S. And it's one of the most beautiful times of the year. The leaves are changing, so there is a lot to see. It's a lot to see out there in nature. Unless you live in Florida, that is. The leaves are changing, and it is getting colder, so enjoy it while you can. Now, in today's episode, we have a very, very major development going on out in Maryland, where we have a situation with a very famous bridge. So we're going to get into that here first to start the show. So let's get right into it, because this one came across my timeline a few days ago, and I knew I had to share with you guys what's going on with the Bay Bridge over in Maryland. So let's take a look.
Picture that's circulating on social media. It appears to show one of the piers on the westbound span of the Bay Bridge looking off center.
Tonight, we're speaking with the woman who posted the initial photos. Anne Arundel County community reporter Caroline Forbach joins us live now from Sandy Point with why that woman says she's still concerned. Caroline.
Kimberly Hudson says her husband took that picture while he was fishing over the weekend because he noticed that pier looked different from all of the other ones. Now, she says she believes that it's important to say something if you see something that feels off. Kimberly Hudson of Kent Island says her husband snapped this picture of one of the piers on the westbound Chesapeake Bay Bridge.
He was very concerned that he thought that it had shifted like that.
She circled the part that stood out to him and posted it to social media.
You see something, you say something.
Thousands of people saw it, including...
All right, let's take a look. Let's take a look at Google. I want to show you guys where this is all happening. So she said it's on the westbound section of the bridge. So let's take a look here. So if he got a picture of it, it either had to be on this span or over here. Yeah, so it's looking like it's over here. And if you can see exactly what they're talking about, let's go back to that photo. Yeah, so you see that right there? You see how it's off center? You see the pillar right here? It's supposed to be sitting on just like this one behind it. So that is a very, very big cause for concern over such a massive bridge. Let's see what else they have to say.
To social media.
You see something, you say something.
Thousands of people saw it, including David Edwards.
If it is true, it's concerning, right? Because it looks like it shifted quite a bit from the photo.
Edwards says he also fishes near the bridge and plans to go see it for himself soon.
I'm not an structural engineer by any means, but you would think that far off center is something to be at least concerned about.
The Maryland Transportation Authority said they inspected the pier and confirmed there is no indication of movement or distress at the location. The authority said in a statement, quote, "While the image of the pier cap appears off-center, the bridge girders, the key structural components supporting the span, are aligned and centered with the pier cap. Importantly, the positioning has not changed since the bridge's construction." That's why Curtis Hills says he's not stressed about it.
Let the experts figure it out. And now that they have, drive and be happy.
Hudson says she wasn't trying to scare people, but especially after recent reports found the Bay Bridge doesn't meet today's ship collision safety standards, she wanted to raise awareness.
I didn't do it for people not to cross, and in fact, I crossed it the very next day to go to a one-year-old's birthday party. I posted it for people to be aware and for people to understand that this is not right.
Now, MDT.
So, I'm not a structural engineer either. That was not my choice of concentration in civil engineering, though you did have to learn a little about structural engineering in college. Experts are saying that it's safe to cross, then, I'm going to trust the experts and agree that it's safe to cross. Even though that's very concerning. We go back and look at that photo. Like, that's very scary. But my question would be this. What I'm wondering is, how long has it been like this? Has this...
Understand it.
Wait. Okay. So yeah, my concern with it is this something that is recent, or was the bridge always like this? Because from what they're saying is that nothing has shifted or moved since their last inspection, and these bridges are regularly inspected. So it just gives you cause for concern as to the timeline of everything. So has the bridge always been like this? And if this is something recent, like exactly when did this happen relative to the last inspection? And if this was caught in inspection, why wasn't it reported to the public? So that's my concern. And if you guys recall, this is not far from the tragedy that happened last year in Baltimore, where we had the Key Bridge that collapsed. So the people in Maryland are not really too... So you got the Bay Bridge right here, and the Key Bridge was right up here, right up the bay, up there in Baltimore. So the people in this area should be very wary when it comes to bridges, and we definitely don't want to see this mighty structure go down. So, but the experts say it's safe. I'm gonna trust the experts, because you got to remember, if it wasn't safe, they would definitely shut down the bridge and let you know, because there are liability concerns if they claim it's safe and the bridge did end up having some structural failure. So my best advice, I would say that the structural engineers, the agency that handles the bridge and inspections, they say that it is safe. So we're going to assume it is safe, but never really seen anything like this before. But those folks out there in Maryland, you let me know if you feel like... I know this bridge right here is actually considered the scariest bridge in the United States, and I have a video about that on my other channel. A lot of people are already afraid to cross this bridge. Like, they have a service where someone will drive you over the bridge for you, because some people are so afraid of crossing this bridge as it is normally. So this just adds yet another element into the Bay Bridge. Let's see if there's anything else in the video.
Understand it. This is not right.
Now, MDTA says the bridge remains safe to drive, and engineers are still looking at ways to better protect it from potential vessel collisions after that NTSB report came out in the spring. Reporting live on your corner here from Sandy Point State Park, Caroline Forback.
So, Sandy Point State Park, that is... Okay, so she's standing on that side. That means it's somewhere in this area. The westbound section. So it's somewhere along here. So we'll definitely be keeping an eye on this. But that's my biggest question about it, is when did that happen? And if the inspectors saw that and noticed that, why wasn't the public not informed? The more you know. But there it is, ladies and gentlemen, the Bay Bridge. And we're hoping that it doesn't end up like the Key Bridge. Well, also in the video, notice that they also said that the Bay Bridge is not fit to survive an impact similar to the one that hit the Key Bridge. So there is some updating that needs to be done on the Bay Bridge, because we do not want to see another great American structure fall into the sea. All right, so let's get to the next story, where we have a new bridge about to open. All right, the Gordie Howe Bridge. We've been talking about this one for years, about to make a new connection to our neighbors to the north in Canada. Let's take a look.
It's been 7 years in the making, and now the Gordie Howe International Bridge is 98% complete.
Oh, we're getting so close. The $6.4 billion project promises to transform cross-border traffic between Detroit and Windsor. Local 4's Jay Scott Smith live in Southwest Detroit. Jay, this is the final push to get this massive project finished.
Yes, indeed it is, Ty. As you see right here over my left shoulder, that is the Gordie Howe International Bridge. First broke ground 7 years ago. but we are getting very close to the finish line of this major project in Southwest Detroit.
We've been working together. Canada, the U.S., Ontario, Michigan, Windsor, Detroit have been working together for 25 years to bring this bridge to this stage.
Southwest Detroit is nearly 20 square miles, bordered by 2 rivers, 3 major highways, and the busiest border crossing in North America. Very soon, it will be getting busier because we're getting closer to the opening of the Gordie Howe International Bridge.
Overall, we're at about 98% complete, which leaves us about 2% of work left to do. Of course, on a project of this size, 2% is still a lot of work to do.
The $6.4 billion bridge is being built by the Windsor-Detroit Bridge Authority and is financed by the Canadian government. It will compete with the privately owned, nearly 100-year-old Ambassador Bridge. The Howe Bridge broke ground in 2018, and if you've driven through Southwest over the last 7 years, you've noticed the increase in 18-wheelers that thunder through neighborhoods like Del Rey. According to the recent City of Detroit study, more than 1,000 trucks a day pass through that stretch of Livernois between Verner and Fort, despite a current city ordinance banning them from 7 p.m. to 7 a.m. This is an issue Grondin says will be alleviated by the opening of the bridge.
Which will allow for the entire corridor to move more efficiently, for trucks to move off of those local streets, move through I-75 more quickly, and get to their destination on the other side of the border.
The Bridge Authority is currently in the process of coordinating with U.S. border control agencies on handing over the U.S. ports. I
wonder if Google has any updated imagery of this. So, let's see. Okay, they're already showing the path up for it right here, even though it's not yet open. So, as you can see, guys, there it is. There's the interchange with Interstate 75 in southwest or southeast Detroit. So it comes down right here. That's the neighborhood they're talking about. These trucks are running through. So you're gonna have a seamless interchange connection, freeway to freeway, between I-75 and the 401 in Ontario, which we've talked about quite a bit on this channel, the 401. So this is going to make for a very, very good connection. And so they're extending the 401 in Canada right here. You see it in Windsor. That's where it ends right there. And we're going to run right through here. So I know the owner of the Ambassador Bridge is pissed about this bridge opening, because who's going to use the Ambassador when you can use the Gordie Howe Bridge? Can't wait to drive it. I might have to take a flight to Detroit whenever this does open. All right, let's get back to the video.
Relations between the U.S. and Canada have not been the greatest. The partnership between the countries to get this bridge done has been rock solid.
It's a really good example of collaboration and the positive outcomes of working together to identify a solution to the problem of moving goods through this corridor. And it's been a great relationship.
Now, Grondin did say that though it is 98% complete and they will have it done by the end of the year, she did stop short of actually giving a date for when this new bridge will open up here in Southwest Detroit. Now, speaking of Southwest Detroit, there are a number of alternate routes that you can take to kind of help avoid some of the heavy traffic as the construction does continue down here. We will have that available on our website on clickondetroit.com. We're live in Southwest Detroit. I'm Jay Scott Smith for Local 4.
All right, there it is. Gordie Howe Bridge shall be open by the end of the year. Always great when you see something this big being completed. Now we're going to head on a little south from Detroit to their neighbor to the south, Ohio, where we got some bad driving habits that have gotten so bad that the Ohio DOT had to speak out about it. Let's see what's going on down there in the Buckeye State.
Multiple crashes and reminders. Drivers in Ohio are still making some dangerous moves behind the wheel.
And they're deciding to get to their exits at the very last second. NBC4's Eric Halperin shows us it has been happening here in central Ohio and in other parts of the state too.
The Ohio Department of Transportation says there is no excuse for this kind of driving. If you're close to missing your exit, ODOT is urging you to just take the next one. It'll be safer for you and everyone around you. Dangerous behavior on Ohio interstates.
There's no excuse for putting people in harm's way just so you can avoid maybe a 2 or 3 minute
detour.
Just this month, a truck carrying watermelons came to a sudden stop on a highway in the Cincinnati area. The reason? A car slowed down and crossed several lanes of traffic to get to an exit they were about to pass.
A split second would have made a difference. If that truck driver's attention was on something not the road ahead, it would have been very, very differently.
Watermelons ended up all over the road, but ODOT's Matt Bruning says, luckily, no one crashed.
So there are a lot of lessons that we can learn from looking at some of these incidents.
It's not the first time in recent months ODOT has been reminding drivers not to make moves like this. In May, a driver in Columbus stopped in the shoulder, then moved over 3 lanes of traffic to make an exit. It caused a crash behind them.
These are things that are easily...
I don't know about you guys, but this is one of the worst driving habits that I've seen on the highways, and I've been on America's highways all over this country. And that's one of the worst things, is when people think that, oh, I missed my exit, I better stop and cut off everybody else on the road so that I can get to my exit, rather than just taking 2 minutes to go down to the next exit and turning around. It's like something goes on in people's brain where they just say, they just don't think about anything. I'm going to risk my life to save 2 minutes, and I'm going to risk all these other people's lives. It's the dumbest thing ever, but it happens all over the place. I got videos and footage from Dallas, from the Northeast, from the West Coast. Like, this happens all the time. Guys, there's always another exit. There is no need to stop in the road or make this last second merge to try to fly over into the exit. And in the case of that video that they just showed with the truck, like, this person really was risking their life. Like, if that truck driver, like he said, was looking away or not paying attention for a split second, the person who made that stupid merge, their brains would have been splattered all over the pavement. Because you will not survive a collision from a truck like that at those interstate speeds. But, you know, 2 minutes is worth people's lives, I guess. Let's see what else is going on up here.
Just because you happen to be in the wrong lane and you don't have enough time to get over to your exit, again, just go to the next one. That's how we avoid these kinds of situations.
And in April on 71 in Columbus, a moment which ended up going viral. A red van stopped in the middle of the highway just so they could get to the exit, also leading to a chain reaction crash. That driver left as well, but was found and charged.
We just need people to pay attention and drive responsibly.
Hey, hang on, guys. And look, let's go back. Look at this idiot. Look at this. Don't be this guy. Do not be this guy on the road. This person comes
That's how we avoid these kinds of situations.
Comes up to the exit, sits right here, and comes to a complete stop on the interstate. A complete stop.
And in April,
because they missed their exit, so they can, and stops everyone behind them.
On 71 in Columbus, a moment which ended up going viral. A red van stopped in the middle of the highway just so they could get to the exit, also leading to a chain reaction crash.
I think America needs more strict driver's license requirements. I think it's too easy to get a license. We need to take the German model. We need to take the German model with driving. This is never stop on a high-speed roadway. And the worst part about it is, it's not, when people do stuff like this, it's not just them they're putting in danger. They're putting other people in danger. Because you see right here, the red car got the least amount of damage from the crash, and they were the ones that stopped on the road.
That driver left as well, but was found.
And then look at him. He tries to drive off. Of course he tries to drive off. No, you need to stay there.
A chain reaction crash. That driver left as well, but was found and charged.
We just need people to pay attention and drive responsibly. And that's not a hard ask. That's an easy fix, and it doesn't cost anything, but it could save lives, and that's what we're trying to do here.
And Bruning says this happens more. It's just these 3 situations were caught on ODOT's cameras. As we were driving on 315 today, there was a car in front of us which swerved at the last moment just to make an exit. Bruning says these situations also serve as good reminders to leave plenty of space between you and the cars in front of you. Local for you, I'm Eric Halpern, NBC4.
Thanks for watching.
Yeah, we need to make it a lot harder to get a driver's license. We can't just be letting anybody on the road like this. Wow. All right, last story of the day. We're bringing it to the local news out here in Colorado, where you guys, I don't know if you've been paying attention, but there are various budget deficits and shortages all over the country, and Colorado is not one of those places. It's not one of the places who's exempt from that. Denver itself has budget deficits, and the state government is having trouble with their deficit as well. And now here we are, we have the RTD, which is the transit authority in the Denver, Colorado metro area. And they say they are $1.6 billion short when it comes to revenue for some expansions that have been in the works for over 20 years. So 20 years and we still have not gotten this built. Let's take a look at what's going on with the RTD.
And new information this morning, RTD's expansion of the metro area's railway system is in financial trouble. And in order to complete that project, more money is needed. So if you're wondering just how much, we're talking over $1 billion. Fox 31's Kasha Carriage joins us live from Union Station with the details on that. And I mean, that's a pretty hefty price tag, Kasha.
Yeah, that's right, Andrea. RTD is actually required by law to finish this project. 4 of those major sections remains unfinished, and the goal there was to connect the Denver metro area to other areas like Longmont, Highlands Ranch, and Thornton. But over 20 years ago, voters approved RTD's expansion program, the largest in the nation, of over 100 miles of both commuter and light rail systems, dozens more rail transit stations, and 18 miles of rapid bus transit. So far, the project has added 25 miles of light rail track and over 50 miles of commuter track, but things like the 2008 recession and the 2020 COVID pandemic have forced that deadline back. So RTD is now asking for $1.6 billion to get this project done by 2034, almost 2 decades past that original deadline.
We have a lot of challenges in terms of completing the program in a shorter period of time, and that I know everybody's anxious about it, but we really do need other sources of revenue in order for us to kind of be able to complete it in a reasonable amount of time.
Other experts say this could come out of taxpayers' pockets with an increase in taxes in the RTD districts that they serve, or a new retail sales tax or ridership tax, although the details of that are still a bit unclear. RTD has seen a massive decline in ridership, though they're hoping that with this additional funding, that'll help bring those numbers back to what they saw about a decade ago.
Yeah, as far as ridership declines, I mean, it's just not convenient. I mean, they had an Oktoberfest here in Denver over the weekend, and I just opted to use Lyft because it was cheaper, faster, and more reliable than trying to use RTD. So no wonder people aren't riding it right now. But let's get some more information on this, because I want you guys to see what the system looks like and what these additional routes actually are. Let me show you the existing footprint. Now, like they said, it does have a large footprint, as you can see here on the map. This is downtown Union Station, where everything kind of originates from, and it reaches some of the suburbs. It goes up to North Glen, goes out through Arvada, comes all the way down to Littleton, and even have a route that goes out to Longtree, which is a very suburban soccer mom type of town. So, and of course the A line going to the airport, which is the most used line. Now let's see if we can get some more information. Okay, here we go. Next 9 news.
These train to and from Boulder County could really come in handy on a night like tonight when the Denver Broncos play.
Now we're talking about Boulder County, so you see here's Denver. Boulder is up here. That's where what's the university? Yeah, UC Boulder. Okay. Now this was a line that has been talked about for decades and it's just never been built. And if I recall, they passed a tax already. So these people in Boulder have been paying for RTD rail to be built out here, but so far that has not yet happened. So it stops right here in Westminster.
Hang on a second. I want to show you something. Recognize this. RTD's train to Boulder and Longmont could now be just 3,000 or so days away. This is Kyle's prop, not mine. I'm going to do my very best here. 3,000. That's not a bad number, right? New report from RTD claims the unfinished portions of FasTracks could be now complete by 2034. 2034, including the train to Boulder that was promised more than 20 years ago. What's the catch here, though? Only $1.5 billion more dollars. Here's Marshall Zellinger.
Okay, class, if a train is approved to leave Denver in 2004 but still isn't built to Boulder in 2025, how much will it cost to still complete a promise made to voters?
In order for us to prioritize it and get it done in the next 10 years like the legislature would like us to, we need help from others to do it.
RTD's Bill Saroy is explaining a new report on FasTracks, the 2004 voter-approved passenger rail program funded by a metro area sales tax, one that Boulder County residents pay, but without a promised passenger train.
That is a commitment that we made, so we are honoring that commitment. It's just a matter of when we can afford to do it.
The report was required by state lawmakers, who were pushing RTD to finish the promises of FasTracks. FasTracks was supposed to cost $4.7 billion. RTD has spent $5.5 billion and still does not have a train going through Louisville and on to Boulder and Longmont, as well as 3 other rail extensions that are unfinished. To complete those 4 projects promised in FasTracks, RTD needs another $1.6 billion.
It all depends on money, and what we're saying is we don't have money.
Well, if the topic sounds ominous,
just one more billion, bro. All right, let me see if I can find a map of this route. I think I had it earlier. Yeah, here we go. Okay. So, as you can see, they've been collecting taxes for over 20 years. Now, me personally, whenever there's a transportation-related tax or fee that's on the ballot, when I lived in Charlotte, I voted in favor of those. So I'll probably vote in favor of those whenever the next election is here in Colorado. But when you have stuff like this where it's taking this long, like the voters start wondering, why am I paying these taxes? This fuels a lot of distrust for these transit agencies when you can't get things done in a reasonable amount of time. I mean, we got 20 years, and basically what you see up here in orange, this is the corridor that they're talking about to Longmont, and has not been constructed at all. So it ends at Westminster right now. So Boulder still has no access to the rail line. And then over here, you have a light rail that's to go out to Jefferson County, which is Golden. And that has not been constructed. And then there's an extension from Littleton to Highland Ranch, which, I mean, do we really think those Highland Ranch moms are going to be, those soccer moms are going to be riding trains? Honestly, I don't really see people from Highland Ranch or past Lone Tree really using the light rail, unless it's to go to sporting events in downtown. So I think you're better off focusing on probably at least getting it to Boulder, because I don't even see people in Longmont coming down into Denver very often, because it would just be faster. Even if you want to get to the airport, it would be faster to just take 25 and then take the roads to get to the airport. So, but this is the map. I'll link this in the description if any of you guys want to see more detail of it yourself. But they have got a lot of work to do, and it's been 20 years, and they're still talking about if they get this $1.6 billion, that's going to make it possibly completed in 10 years. Or what did she say? 6,000 days? 3,000 days. 3,000 days. So look at this guy. So
It's plagued each Boulder mayor for years.
Zeus has an opinion on this matter.
Aaron Brockett is the current Boulder mayor who sees the lights at the front of the train.
I do think that our best promise and hope for Rail to Boulder lies in the joint rail service plan with Front Range Passenger Rail.
The Front Range Passenger Rail is another yet-to-be-built project that would presumably get a passenger train from Pueblo to Fort Collins. Brockett brought it up when I pointed out RTD's new estimate for the train to Longmont has dropped from 10,000 daily riders to 1,100.
When you combine the two with the train going all the way up to Fort Collins...
Let's go back to that. What?
Brought it up when I pointed out RTD's new estimate for the train to Longmont has dropped from 10,000 daily riders to 1,100.
When you come 1,100 riders per day? Wow. And we want billions of dollars to move 1,100 people per day. Let's continue.
And the two, with the train going all the way up to Fort Collins, past Boulder and Longmont and Loveland, I think then you get the additional ridership and the additional transportation benefit that makes it all worthwhile.
So now what? Soroy with RTD told me these are now facts on paper, so RTD, state lawmakers, local elected leaders can all be on the same page. Well, since voters just approved a Tabor override for RTD, meaning they allowed RTD to keep above and beyond the mathematical equation of what they're allowed to keep each year, I asked RTD, would they ask voters for more money on top of the money voters in the metro area are already giving RTD for something that's unfinished? I got a to be continued answer, although Boulder's mayor was like, no more RTD additional tax.
Asking money from us here in Colorado. 2034. What do you think that likelihood actually is? Because we've waffled on this a lot here, so.
I asked of these 4 projects that are unfinished, what's your deadline to get them done by 2034? They would need to be approved essentially tomorrow, or at least in the next few months.
Okay.
So unlikely.
Okay.
But if you start, it's the most expensive one. The train to Longmont's the most expensive, so if that gets approved, maybe 2034. If they wait, it's just going to get more expensive, and that time's going to get higher.
And I'm looking at this thing one more time. I thought this was funny. So if we're at 3,000 now, you know what we were last time we did this? 6,300. So we're moving in the right direction.
Improvement.
Maybe that makes it unbelievable then.
That's an awful, and that was like a year ago. So, all right, we'll see.
All right, guys. So we'll see what happens with this. Will RTD ask for more money? And will the people of Colorado vote to give them more money? It sounds like Boulder says, no, we are not raising taxes anymore. So will this get done by 2034? It looks like that's wishful thinking at best. Maybe by 2040. By then, probably all my hair will be gray by the time this is done. So, RTD, ladies and gentlemen. All right, guys, that's going to do it for today. The last day of September, Transportation Tuesday. Now, let me know what you guys think about the stories that we went over today, especially with that situation with the bridge in Maryland. Now, that is a big one. Let me know what you think. Do you trust this bridge? Would you still drive over this bridge despite seeing that photo? And also, let me know if there are any other stories that you would like to see next week or on a future episode of the show. And also, this Friday, we're going to be talking about California. Some California love. The first California video of the channel will be released this Friday, so stay tuned for that. Be on the lookout. We'll be having some California love here on Friday, finally. All right, and as always, thanks for watching, and I will see you guys next time.